Oh,
It looks like we're back to the Magic.
and it looks like we actually do have Erik here.
Well, look at that.
Is this Erik? Yeah, this is Erik.
We got Erik versus Lance.
Yep. We've seen Lance earlier on stream. A couple matches. He played sealed.
We
last
saw him
week.
play against David.
We saw him play against David and Dason last week, and we also saw him play in standard with his Night Deck against Paul.
Yep. So we'll see what we have in store for us. This will be our last round tonight.
Yep.
Round 3. And then hopefully at the end we'll see if maybe we can get the winner of the tournament in. We're getting close. It's already 8:40. Store closes at 9, so this is definitely the last round, and we might be pressed for time to get the winner in.
Sure.
But we'll see what we can do for you. And that's... Some people don't like that we close at 9. I'm a fan. And it gets everybody home. Everybody's got family they're trying to get back to. We're just, have some fun. And then it's early enough you can go do stuff. And if you're visiting Hawaii...
This is great. We're going to get 3 rounds in tonight anyway.
Come on down.
So it should be fine.
Yeah, if you're visiting Hawaii, come on down, play a couple games, and then you still got time to get back to your family at the hotel that you ditched.
Yep.
It's all good. Now, don't know who's on the play. Looks like they're about to decide. I think that Lance just said, dude, who's going first?
Who's going first? Dude, where's my car?
All right, so they're going to decide that. Hopefully no mulligans. Looks like Erik's on the play.
Yep.
Okay, there's a lot of debate about rolling a D20 to decide who goes first.
Yep.
Where do you stand on that, Alex?
I think as long as you don't use a spin down dice, you are okay. Spin down dice are not actually randomized like a regular D20 would be. So I'm more of a fan using like D6s or something along the lines. But if you have a randomized D20, I'm okay with it too.
I'm not going to say I set you up, Alex, but I was really hoping you'd say that.
Why is that?
If I ever see somebody roll a D20 and tell me what they're going to roll, I will agree with you 100%.
Sure.
So if you can roll within 3, roll a D20 and tell me I'm going to roll an 18.
I'm not worried about...
And do it 2 out of 3 times, and I will agree with you that you can determine a roll.
I'm not worried about
D20.
The general public like you, Andy. Or maybe you are the one I need to worry about.
You've got to be David Copperfield to roll that die.
Hey, man.
To know what you're getting.
I play at a lot of GPs. I'm paranoid as heck on
it. Might be David Copperfield. You played at Vegas, right?
I played in Vegas, and I will shuffle my opponent's deck, and I will make sure things are randomized correctly.
Okay.
Erik with the 1-lander.
Yeah, I think Erik's shipping. Lance looked like a good hand for Lance.
Yep.
With Erik, that's a lot of white cards and only 1 island.
Yep, but he does have a Gearsmith. He can play on 1. And
He's going.
He's going for it. He's an Artificer. He can play on 3 as well, but he has to basically draw a land. So this is the Gearsmith.
It's a 2/1.
I think it's a 1/2.
1/2, and it gains flying or something.
It gains +1/+0 if it has artifact.
Or it might do that.
Yeah. So. Starts with Gearsmith.
Gearsmith Prodigy 1/2 gets +1/+0 if he controls an artifact.
Yep.
All right, that's why Alex is here with me.
No worries. It took me a while. I'm still going to get a bunch of these wrong. So Erik actually has a turn 2, turn 3 play, which is an artifact, but he needs to pick up that land.
He doesn't have a second land.
Yeah. So we saw this last week with, was it Ernest or Dason? No, it was Ernest.
Yeah, I think it was Ernest last week.
Who kept a 1-lander or a no-lander.
Yeah, and then we almost had to eat crow because he was drawing his way out of it.
Yeah. It gets really, really rough if you run out. Because in this set, like I said earlier, you can just get run over by stuff if you don't play enough threats or answers quickly.
Now, keeping a hand with 1 land, you're most likely going to draw to a point in your deck where there's multiple lands in a row.
Yes, because it's a little clogged up, as it were.
The issue is, where is that clog of lands?
Yeah. Looks like Lance plays a Surge Mirror, which is actually really solid. It's a 0/5, and for 1 blue, 1 colorless, he can give it +2/-2. If it doesn't get blocked, he can draw a card. If such, he has to discard a card.
And it's can't be blocked by green creatures.
Which is not that relevant here because Erik's on white-blue.
Yep.
But I believe Erik did not draw a second land here. So
That looks to be the case.
he has an artificer plus the bookcase. Um, both.
Unfortunately, though, he's looking at what to discard.
I think he's on 7 cards, right? Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yep.
on 7. Um, like he would be okay missing 1 land drop, but missing 2 makes it really, really rough. Now you're behind 2 lands. You're almost behind 2 turns.
No.
The only benefit is that Lance doesn't seem to have any red mana to go along with all the blue mana he has out there.
If Erik draws a second land, like you said, he has a bookcase he can play.
Yep.
Which is going to pump up the Gearsmith, make it a 2/2.
Correct.
It can't really get through any of those blockers on Lance's side.
Yep.
But he's getting his board bigger.
And Lance can't get through it very well. The only way... Ooh. See, this is why you don't want to play one-lander, because you could... The fact that you might have a perfect hand for a one-lander, on the, like if you draw 1 more land, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You have to weigh that specifically against the fact that you could just lose. You could just... Yeah.
A one-land hand always looks good because there's nothing but spells.
Yes, because you want all those spells. They feel good in your hand. They're all things that'll do stuff for you.
Spells that cost more than the lands you have in play are not good spells on that turn.
Exactly.
Okay, so Lance is going to get a Goblin token.
Okay. His Instigator will produce... He was able to get a mountain, which is...
He did find him out.
Okay, that's super important. Because now all the cards in his hand are active.
So he could attack with the Surge Mare. It looks like he's choosing not to.
Yeah.
But...
Interestingly enough... Oh, he is. He's going to pump it. The Surge Mare is a 2/3 now?
It's a 2/3. Now, he could have waited to see how the blocks go.
Yeah, but even in this situation, he's representing that Erik either has to block or he's going to be able to loot.
Right.
Most of the time I'm with you, just like instance, you'd want to wait till the very last second to use the pump. But if he knows that Erik has to respond in such a way, it's fine.
No, it looks like Erik took the damage. Lance chose not to loot.
Okay, Erik
found his second land.
So, interesting enough, if Erik is able to go land, he's actually in okay shape because Lance didn't do anything super impactful on his turn 2 and 3 plays to threaten Erik's life total, because the Wall of Mist isn't in itself a threat, and 2/1/1s are blockable with all the creatures that Erik wants to play at.
And Erik has the Surge Mare.
Yeah.
Not Surge Mare, the Shield Mare.
The Shield Mare.
Which, if he hits the lands for, that's going to get him right back to life that he
total.
lost.
Yes. And the thing is, Lance hasn't shown anything that evades Erik's large presence on the ground. The Surge Mirror will be able to pump itself up and take out the bookcase, so he can threaten a 4/1 Surge Mirror, which is reasonable. But it doesn't necessarily take out everything.
I'm a little suspicious that Jake was trying to pull up the suspicious bookcase.
Yeah. Like I said, I love that card. It deals with a lot of stuff on the ground.
And in the blue-white deck, it enables other
all the artifact stuff. I think Lance needs to untap his Surge Mirror, but that should be okay.
If you're out there watching, we appreciate you being here with us. Thank you very much. We hope you're enjoying the show.
Yep.
We're in round 3 of our 3-round sealed tournament at Other Realms. And we got Erik and Lance on the game 1. Erik trying to get out of a one-lander against Lance, who's just playing lands every turn and getting a presence out there.
Yep. So Lance
anticipating,
looking for something. Looks like he finds something he likes. Still has 3 mana up in Grixis colors.
Grixis colors. Maybe we got a Nicole Bolas in the deck.
Maybe
that would be a reason to go 3 colors.
Yep.
Looks like he's holding on to Sleep. Erik found a 3rd land, which is very good for him.
Yep, that'll actually make it so he can play Luminous Bonds to take care of any large threats. Which actually, right now, there's no like major threat. I think it might be worth it for Erik to develop his board. He has the Artificer that'll produce a Thopter, which will be able to get in through the air. He can play a Shield Mare to protect his life total and have a 2/3 body, which is fine. The 2/3 body actually blocks the other mare very well.
He's also got an Ether Tunnel once he gets a large enough creature down that will give it +1/+0 unblockable.
Yeah. Which goes with the theme that he has with the suspicious bookcase
Yeah.
to make stuff unlockable. But right now, I think he just wants to, like, I think
He's
because
still building a presence.
yeah, because he's behind in lands, he has to build a board.
Yeah.
Having a creature that creates a token, a 2-for-1, is perfect for this kind of thing. The Artificer basically mirrors the Instigator and is slightly better because one of the bodies is a 1/2 and blocks favorably.
He's also got a 1/1 flyer now.
Right. And because he has the 0/4, the 1/2, and the 1/2, none of Lance's stuff currently on the ground, other than the Surge Mirror, attacks favorably.
Right. Another Instigator.
Yep.
He's got a mirror image.
Yep.
That was the same card that you were about to call out, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Mirror image, asleep, and then I can't tell what the
He's
last
about to play it.
Oh, ooh.
Oh, Tezzeret.
Ooh.
Okay, Tezzeret's a thing. So Tezzeret the big thing about Tezzeret and all the Planeswalkers recently is that the good ones all start with like a huge amount of loyalty. That's why
Right.
Karn was good. Tezzeret's pretty good here. He starts with 5, and his +1 makes a Thopter. His 0 lets you draw a card. His 0 lets you draw 2 cards if you have 3 artifacts, and his minus lets you tutor for any card, or his ultimate rather. As far as it goes in limited, what you're really trying to do is just build up enough creatures with the Thopters till you get to the part where you can start drawing 2. Because once you start drawing 2 cards a turn, it gets out of hand really quickly.
Right. For Jake, that's Tezzeret Artifice Master.
Artifice Master. The big thing for Erik, though, is that he's going to be able to make something unblockable to come in to Tezzeret for a certain amount every turn. Unfortunately, all his creatures are only 1 power, so the best he can do is make it so that he can come in for 2 every turn onto Tezzeret unblockable.
And right now, Tezzeret, that first turn, putting out a 1/1 flyer to block.
Making him a 6 loyalty. So, like,
So there's some work to do there.
a lot of the times with Tezzeret, what you're going to do if you're ahead of board like Lance is here is just keep plussing 1.
Yeah.
Like, just +1, +1, +1, +1, and
You're
just
clogging the board.
Yeah.
Erik can't get through to hurt him.
Literally, Erik has to devote like half the game to taking out Tezzeret, and then you can just build out the rest of your board while that happens.
So in round 1,
Yep.
we saw Joe play Palladium Wars,
Yes.
which took over the game.
Correct.
Are you saying that Tezzeret is doing the same thing here?
Tezzeret has the potential to do the same thing here. What's gonna matter is the next turn, really. If Erik is able to put the +1/+0 unblockable clause onto a creature with power 3 or greater, which I believe he has one
He does.
on the left, that becomes a 4/2 unblockable, and then he can get through for 1 more in the air, so 5 can get through to Tezzeret.
Well,
and
he
take-
can't get through the air. Oh,
he
he's
has
got 2 flyers. You're right.
So
Yep.
he can get 5 in to Tezzeret, or well, actually no. If Tezzeret pluses 1, he cannot.
So now there's 2 flyers.
So, but he can get 4 in twice, if that makes sense. So he wouldn't be able to kill Tezzeret next turn, but the turn after that, he'd be able to kill Tezzeret.
Right.
Yeah.
But right now, the game plan for Erik has to include getting rid of Tezzeret.
Yes. If he does not get rid of Tezzeret, eventually, what's going to happen is eventually the board is going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and Erik's side is not going to get as big as quickly as Lance's side.
Right.
Well, what died there? How did that die?
The Oreskos died. I'm trying to...
How did the Oreskos die?
Plague
played
Plague
Mirror.
Mirror.
Oh, he
I was
played
trying to
Mirror.
find what
Perfect.
that was.
Wow, that card is awesome for Lance. That takes out 2 of the large threats that Erik has, and because he's able to do so, Tezzeret is in super good shape right now.
Now, luckily for Erik, he had not given it unblockable yet, because that doesn't
Yeah.
pump the toughness.
But the thing is, the unblockable clause makes it so that his 1 power creatures can only be doing 2 a turn, which is not going to be enough to Tezzeret to really start taking him out in
Right.
an efficient fashion.
Well, he's got a 2/2 Artifice.
He does have a 2/2, so he'll be able to do 3 a turn, but that's 3 attacks into Tezzeret that need to happen.
Yeah.
So Tezzeret will be able to either +1, it's more if he pluses 1, So like you need something that had 3 power or more to begin with, so that you put Tezzeret on a 2-turn clock instead of like a 4-turn clock.
Okay. So he's opting to kill the creature, not the token.
Yeah. So this gets really rough. So here's the moment. You know how you were talking about Tezzeret might get out of control. Right here is where Tezzeret gets out of control, because now Erik, by losing those 3 creatures, I believe, has, unless you Cleansing Nova, there's almost no way for you to get more creatures on the board than Tezzeret now. Like, now is the point you've passed no return.
Because not only is Lance playing stuff out of his hand, Tezzeret's clogging up the board as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then starting from next turn, if he pluses Tezzeret and doesn't get pressured, he can start drawing 2 cards a turn, which is just, you can't, it's almost impossible to win off of that.
Right.
Luminous Bonds on the Surge Mirror, making it so it can't attack or block.
Which is going to cut off Lance's card draw.
It'll stop the rummaging, but yeah, that's probably the best target he can hit with Luminous Bonds right now.
Plague Mirror is set at 2/2.
Yep.
The Thopters don't really feel good to use it on.
So right now, the Thopters, you just kind of want to make more Thopters. Like, the Thopters are going to let you Strangling Spores. Ooh.
Nice.
That's a good draw. Like, okay, so the temptation at some point will be to Ultimate Tezzeret, which lets you basically tutor for a card every turn. But I'm almost at the point where you want to hold 3 Thopters and then just draw 2 cards every turn. If you're not being pressured and being able to draw 2 cards every turn is just, it's not so. Although let me see, the ultimate, it depends exactly what cards Lance has in his deck, because the ultimate might be worth it too.
Now, Erik being stuck on 3 lands still.
Yep.
He's been able to hold in this game longer than I would have thought.
Yeah.
But Tezzeret does seem to be running away right now.
Yeah.
And the ultimate is...
At the beginning of your upkeep, you can look for a permanent card in your deck and put it onto the battlefield. That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like Lance getting aggressive, attacking with a Goblin and 2 Thopters.
Yep.
Reaching for lands for a combat trick.
I think before damage, he's going to Strangling Spores the wall.
Targeting the bookcase.
Damage. Okay, so yeah, so he's going to mark the 2 damage with the 1/1 Goblin, and then -3/-3 the bookcase to finish it off, I think.
Yep.
He'll lose a Thopter.
But he was able to get rid of the bookcase and get in for 1 damage.
Yep.
Now, Erik has a trusty Pack Beast in hand.
Yep.
If he finds land.
Which will get him back to the bookcase, but we're getting to
the point where the Thopters are...
Yep.
Between the card draw and the Thopters, that bookcase isn't going to be enough.
The big deal is that Tezzeret is 2 turns from laying the smackdown. Yeah.
So 4th land.
Yeah. So I think, like, Liliana's not great, Sarkhan's not that great in limited, but Tezzeret is awesome, Vivian Reed is awesome, Gideon is awesome. Or not Gideon, Ajani, sorry.
Well, Liliana, like we said earlier, you need zombies for to make her really good. Sarkhan is best if you have dragons to go with it. Tezzeret brings his own friends. Vivian
does all the green things that you want. And Ajani gives counters to your creatures and brings them back. So does everything for the white weenies that you like.
So the other 3 that you mentioned, much less reliant on other cards.
Their planeswalker abilities do things on their own, and then just on top of it, just tend to help out.
So Liliana and Sarkhan would be the Loam Dwellers.
Yeah.
Of the Planeswalker Bear world.
Correct. So I see Omen Speaker, another Instigator, and Sleep. So what Lance might eventually be able to do at this point, if he doesn't win from the Tezzeret triggers, is that he'll just build a board big enough to sleep Erik and just come in for a turn or two, and that'll be it.
Sleep is a great card. It's been out of the format for a long time.
I've lost to sleep more than I've ever. I've lost to sleep a lot.
Yep.
With all the token generators in this set and like red white or red blue, that sort of thing, sleep can just come around, and like sleep with a trumpet blast is like pretty good. Not exactly sure what Tezzeret is at now. 9, I think.
Looks like 9.
Yeah, 9. Looks like the Plague Mare's coming in.
It's a 2/2 against a trusty Pack Beast. Looks like Erik took the damage.
Yep.
Well, he's found his lands. It's another island.
But is it enough? He has Mighty Leap. He can make a thing unblockable. He has his bookcase, and he has another mare to give him 3 life.
Like we said, Tezzeret's the target.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to hurt Lance, but he's got to deal with Tezzeret.
I don't think... Well, the Pack Beast will be able to... What is Tezzeret at 9? Tezzeret's at 9, so he has to deal with Tezzeret this turn, or the ultimate happens next turn. So we'll see what happens. He decides to play the Shield Mare. He's going to gain 3. And I think he should put... No, he does play the bookcase, so he does not deal with Tezzeret this turn. Lance, if he does feel like it can emblem Tezzeret, and then that starts to get out of hand, because he can basically put in a permanent every turn.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty tough. That's going to be pretty tough to deal with Tezzeret's ultimate.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he does decide to ultimate Tezzeret here. I imagine he would. Getting an emblem that puts a permanent into play every turn that you choose is pretty sweet.
Yeah, look through your deck and put whatever you want into play.
Yeah.
That's not a bad ability.
Not bad at all.
So this game right now, we have the ultimate from Tezzeret.
Yep.
Lance has definitely got the wide board. Sleep in hand. Once Erik started missing those land drops, it
got rough real quick.
Yeah.
And so basically, from this point on, Lance just needs to develop his board. Like every turn, he'll get a permanent to play, and then once he feels like his board is reasonable enough, the big thing he has to dodge is a Cleansing Nobler from Erik. If he, make sure that he doesn't get his whole board wiped, and then he can just sleep and come in to basically win the game.
Yeah.
But we're still a couple turns away from that.
Yeah, Eric's still at a healthy 18 life.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like you said, a Cleansing Nova gets him right back in.
We've seen 2 of them today, so...
Now, the thing about the emblem, though, there is absolutely no way to get rid of the emblem.
Nope. The Cleansing Nova will clear both boards, and Lance will have a head start on rebuilding his.
So we're using the sleeve to represent the emblem. So...
Looks like he's going to look for his first permanent, and he chooses Lathless, the Dragon Queen. That is a bomb as well. It's a 6/6 flyer.
Not a bad one.
For 6, and then every time he plays a dragon, he'll make a 5/5 dragon token. He can also make all his dragons +1/+0 for 1 red and 1 colorless. That is a finisher in and of itself. And through the air with only the Rustwing Falcon, unless Erik has a direct answer for the Dragon Queen, that will start making things a lot worse really quickly. Is that Tezzeret? That is a second Tezzeret. I see.
Well, this is Erik's hand.
I know, this is Erik's Tezzeret. Well, one Tezzeret deserves another. And just to show that he can do it too, here comes that Tezzeret. More importantly, Tezzeret is actually going to make a 1/1 Thopter, which will block favorably against Lathless. This is actually kind of cool because now Lance has to figure out a way to take out Tezzeret. I think he has an efficient way to do that by playing Sleep. Sleep will allow him to take out Tezzeret in a single turn, and I think it might be worth doing right now. Because if he can actually sleep and take out Tezzeret, I don't think there's all that many threats that Erik can still put up that Lance has to really worry about.
So it surprises me that Erik has been able to keep his life total up. Now, Lance's early game was mostly defensive creatures. He had the Surge Mare, he had the Wall of Mist, and he wasn't getting a lot of early pressure. But Erik was hurting so long on Lance.
Yeah.
The fact that he's been
still
able to
this?
hang in there,
Yeah. I think
and
that.
he was able to work towards that Tezzeret.
Ooh, that Electrify is solid too.
Now, Electrify 4 damage to a creature.
I think he's going to just sleep here, though, because sleep is an efficient way to deal a ton of damage. Oh, no. Is that... Yeah, that's sleep,
That's
right?
sleep.
Yeah.
Looks like a foil sleep.
Yeah, it does a ton of damage, and he can take care of Tezzeret.
Sleep, tap all creatures your opponent controls.
And it looks like Erik didn't make a Thopter. He decided to take the card draw with Tezzeret.
Well, he's been down cards the whole game.
I think he might... Like, if he can find Cleansing Nova off of this, now you can rebuild with Tezzeret.
Right. Again, this is limited. We don't know what's in his deck.
Sure.
But Cleansing Nova would be
But
very
Lance is
good
definitely going to take the time right now to get in as much damage as possible.
Even though Omen Speaker, Erik is tapped out, so 5 of that will be going to Tezzeret.
Yep.
And it looks like probably
Or
3
6.
of it.
I think he's...
Well, Tezzeret's at 5 and Eric's tapped out.
I think he's...
So 3 goblins, 2 Thopters.
Oh.
And then 3 damage plus Lathless.
I thought he was... Oh, for some reason I thought he was attacking Tezzeret with Lathless.
I'm pretty sure Erik takes 9 there.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's going to take 9 again, plus the fire breathing, so I think he's just dead. Because he'll be able to untap, but he does not get to untap his creatures.
Yeah.
And then he
and
has...
a Bone Dragon to get another 5/5 red dragon token.
Yeah.
Now, this goes back to earlier when we were talking about showing information.
Yeah, Lance actually probably doesn't need to show that he has Bone Dragon here.
No.
However, he is making a statement saying, I have Bone Dragon here.
Lance is saying to Erik, hey, that's a nice Tezzeret.
Yeah.
Look what I got.
So you were somewhat joking earlier that maybe Lance might have Nicobolus or whatever. Besides Nicobolus, having Tezzeret, Lathless, and Bone Dragon is a very good reason to play Grixis.
Yes, yes.
Those are probably some of the best cards in each of the colors. Bone Dragon is a massive 5/4 flyer for 5.
Lance opened up his seal pool and it basically said to him,
Yeah.
I want to burnonate some villagers.
Yeah.
So,
From all the countryside.
So he's having some fun.
He even has the consummate V's on those wings.
So yeah, at this point, it's going to be tough for Erik. He doesn't untap.
Yeah. So,
This is kind of, let me see what else you can show me.
like, Erik has to draw Cleansing Nova here.
Yeah.
I think he gets the Artificer that makes one of his artifacts a 5/5, but it's not going to matter. It's one blocker on the ground, so I think with the fire breathing and the extra dragon, that should be it. Yeah, that should definitely
dragon damage alone, he's got Erik dead.
Yeah.
Erik put up a very good fight, but in the end, it came down to either Cleansing Nova or nothing.
Yep. The big deal is that Erik got stuck on Lance for 3 turns after keeping that 1 lander, so he never was able to get off on the front foot. He was always on the back foot.
If he had hit Lance and gotten his early creatures down, he would have been on the aggro side.
Yeah,
which would have kept Tezzeret under control.
He actually wasn't in too bad of a shape after turn 5 or so, because Lance had only at that point brought out like walls and like a Surge Mare and like 1/1s, and Erik actually had creatures that outscaled him. But Lance was able to go into Tezzeret and play a bunch of his other cards while Erik was waiting for lands.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, he's able to do that. So it looks like he's coming in with Trogdor. The 5/5, all the dragons. Yep. And Erik scoops this one up. We'll go to game 2.
That was a pretty impressive seal pull from Lance.
Yeah, and he built this really, really well. Omen Speaker's great.
He's got the Manalith.
Is great. The Manalith helps him fix and ramp. He has all the bombs. The Wall of Mist I even like because I get the feeling that a lot of his low drops are not like incredibly aggressive.
That looks like a very late game deck.
Yeah, because if he can get to Bone Dragon, if he can get to Lathless, if he can get to Tezzeret, he's in good shape. So you just want to protect Tezzeret. Wall of Mist does that just fine for him. Plague Mare takes care of the go wide strategies.
I really want to see how many other dragons he has in there.
He has
if he has others.
He has a couple of goblin instigators to deal with the ground efficiently, Durl until he gets to the bigger stuff. And because they're kind of 2-for-1s, he can trade the single 1/1s if he needs to. There's a lot of good stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Erik also has a great deck. He's in blue-white artifacts. He has artifact creatures. He has he has the same thing in that he can generate tokens with the Artificer at 3. It generates a 1/1 flying token, but he also has Artificers that make his 1/1 flying tokens 5/5s. He has Tezzeret to do the same kind of thing where he can animate those Thopters that Tezzeret makes. He has Luminous Bonds for efficient removal. All the card Mighty Leap is great as well. There's a lot of cards that I liked in Erik's deck and Erik's hand. Unfortunately, he didn't get to cast a lot of them. That's the big problem.
Looking at Erik's deck versus Lance's, I'm seeing Erik is trying to follow the curve.
Yeah.
He's trying to stay on curve, get his threats out at a certain time on that curve to get the damage in as efficiently as possible.
It's an aggressive blue deck. He has a lot of stuff to make things unblockable. So
whereas Lance is just trying to get stuff to clog up the ground and keep that.
Lance is trying to get to turn 5.
To him,
like turn 5 is Lance's like money turn kind of thing, and Erik is trying to kill you by then.
Right.
Like that. All of these are cool little strategies that you can play. And blue-white is not normally your aggressive color, but there are decks, and Erik is one of them, that blue is aggressive, man.
Yeah.
You've got Mighty Leap, you've got the Thopterists that change the power and toughness of Thopters. You have a lot of flyers and a lot of evasion.
So I got 2 islands, Mighty Leap, Skilled Artificer, he's got the Aerial Engineer, Gearsmith Prodigy, and a Dwindle.
Yeah, so he has a removal spell. He needs to see a white mana. He actually needs to get to 4. If he gets to 4, he has like great curve.
3 lands.
3 lands, a Laughless, and a wall. And a slate. Okay. Lance feels okay with this, hoping that he can draw into the lands he needs for his 5-drops. It's a little rough because Bone Dragon is double black and Laughless is 6.
Well, he doesn't want to get Bone Dragon out until Lathlas is in play anyway. Because once he casts Bone Dragon with Lathlas in play, he gets a 5/5 token as well.
I agree, but I would be totally fine going Bone Dragon Lathlas too. That's just a strong, like, I've got a 5/5 that I can regenerate, a 5/4 flyer that I can regenerate, that I can attack next turn. Lathlas is big. And if he doesn't get the 5/5 token, Lathlas can pump both dragons with the same fire breathing anyway.
Yeah.
So it's strong either way.
So leading with the 1/2.
Yep. Erik really needs to see lands, because if he sees the right lands, he'll curve out super nicely. The 4/4 arrow, that's a plains. That's awesome to see.
That's exactly what he wanted.
Yeah. So turn 2, he shouldn't have a play, but turn 3, he gets the Thopterus. That'll make his current Artificer stronger. And turn 4, he gets the other Aerial Artificer that becomes a 4/4 flyer. So he needs to pick up one more land.
Now, he had a Mighty Leap he could have played. I'm glad he did not.
Yes.
Because this is not the kind of race where he wants to.
No.
Just throw that out there.
So, speaking very generally about M19, where you use your combat tricks and where you use removal are very, very important. You cannot just use stuff on anything. You have to choose the correct and most threatening thing. Because if you don't, you'll find you're missing the removal you want when you need it. And the combat trick when your most important thing is around to, save it sort of deal.
Yeah, and it's very limited number of tricks in this format.
Did Erik get his 4th land?
He did. He drew a 4th island. Well, he drew an extra island, so he's on 4 mana. Lance has a Tormenting Voice in his hand, so he's going to be able to get a little deeper in his deck.
I really want Erik not to use Mighty Leap here.
Well, I don't think he will. If he was going to do it...
No.
That's a 0/5.
That's a 3. He doesn't gain flying after he blocks, Erik.
No. Now we have Ben sitting at the table to explain.
Yep.
So he's catching this. I can see his shadow.
Yep.
That's a pretty common misconception.
Yep.
When you attack with a creature, if it gets blocked, the moment the defending player says, "I will block this creature,"
you've lost priority.
It is now blocked.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can do to make that creature unblocked. So right now, even by giving a non-flying creature flying,
Yep.
the fact that it's been blocked by a non-flying creature, it is still blocked even after it gains flying.
Mm-hmm. So right now, Erik has a 3/4 going into a 0/5, basically.
Yeah. Again, it's very... I see it all the time when I'm teaching people to play.
Yeah, it happens.
Very
It's
common
unfortunate.
misconception.
But that's okay. This is one of those things you learn from.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's in round 3.
Yep. It happens.
Yeah. And he doesn't lose a creature, he just loses a combat trick. But like we talked about just a minute ago, they're few and far between. So...
Okay, so they talked about it, and I guess he was just explaining to Lance that you want to do that before blocks. And Lance will just allow it.
Yeah.
And he's totally fine with it.
Lance is a pretty good
Sportsmanship
guy.
and everything.
And he's got a Bone Dragon and a Lathless in hand.
Yep.
So.
See, I think that turn I'd like to have seen Erik play the Artificer, because that would make his current Artificer a 2/2, and he'd get 2 bodies, and then it lines up real nicely to play the Aerial Artificer, which would make it a 4/4, because he'd already have the artifact in play.
Now, going back to the last play,
Yeah.
that's actually one of the things I enjoy about playing here at Other Realms.
Uh-huh.
You go to a lot of places to play, and if you do that somewhere, they're like, no, you did it.
Yeah.
It's too late. Here, we're all just trying to help everybody become better at the game.
Yep.
If there's an opportunity to teach somebody something, usually that's the route people will play. And that was Lance's decision.
Yep.
If he wanted to let it go back or not.
Mm-hmm.
And by letting it go back a step, you know, in the end, everybody becomes a better player as a result of it.
So Lance decided to Tormenting Voice, discarding his Bone Dragon, which is interesting because while it's good to play in 5, he didn't have the second black mana, so he decided that he wanted extra cards for the Bone Dragon, and he can cast the Bone Dragon out of the graveyard later in the game as long as he has 7 cards in the graveyard.
Now, key thing, I'm trying to pull up Lathless right now.
Yes.
He is not casting it out of the graveyard.
Yes, it will
It is
not
entering the
it is
battlefield.
entering the battlefield. It will not get.
No, he will still get the token.
Oh yeah,
Lathless
once it's ETB. Yeah.
is an enter the battlefield.
Yep.
So not the cast trigger. So it will still trigger Lathless and get the token that way.
So he's gonna
There's
dwindle. So now he has a -6/5 wall that will die if it blocks.
It's a good way to get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's some pretty nice art.
Yeah, I like that.
The mice are eating good tonight.
Put the giant cat in the rat cage.
Looks like Lance opted not to block, surprisingly.
Yep. He decides that taking 1 damage is not that bad. I too agree 1 damage is not that bad.
Yeah. You can probably take it at this point.
Yeah.
So he finds his 4th land.
Yeah, the Tormenting Voice help him find a land. The Omen Speaker will help him fix the next one. He's really looking for another mountain so that he can play Lathless.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, you know, I think there's an argument that the next reasonable thing that comes out on the board, he should block with the wall, just to get more cards in the graveyard to activate.
7 cards to get the Bone Dragon back is a lot in limited.
Yeah.
You only get maybe 2 activations, maybe
1. It's pretty much 1.
You should definitely get 1, but
Yeah.
maybe 2.
Yep.
So you kind of have to work to meet that requirement. So Erik on only 1 white mana. Looks like a trusty pack beast. It's gonna play the island.
Let's see what he wants to do here. Pack Beast time?
Doesn't look.
Oh,
No,
Artificer.
Aerial Engineer.
Yeah. It's a 2/4. He needs an artifact to really get that thing going. With an artifact, it becomes a 4/4 flyer, which is like awesome.
That's great against
Yeah.
a board with no flyers. Now, once Lathless comes down, it's not as great.
Yep.
So he needs to get it done quickly.
Yep.
And so far, we haven't seen any artifacts over there.
So, I know Erik wants to be the aggressor here, but I think after the game 1, watching and seeing that Lathless and Bone Dragon came out, I might have waited to hold the Dwindle for those larger threats.
Yeah.
like I said before,
Same thing with the Mighty Leap.
yeah, like knowing what your opponent has and picking the correct things to take out with your removal is very key in M19.
Alright, so now Tezzeret's back on the board, so I'm thinking we'll see some Thopters.
Yep.
Just because Erik is representing a flying creature right now.
Yeah, if he plays an artifact next turn.
So now we've got to see if he can find an enabler here to give his creature flying.
Is that Gideon's Reproach?
I think it's a Take Vengeance.
Take Vengeance, sorry.
I think. So he's got the trusty Pack Beast he can play.
There's no artifact for him to get back.
Yeah, there's no real great play this turn for him, I don't think.
Yeah. That's a little rough, too, because, like we said earlier, once Tezzeret hits the floor, you have to start reacting to Tezzeret, or it just gets out of hand.
Oh, and it got out of hand.
Yeah.
Tezzeret took that game over last time.
General rule of thumb for you at home is once a Planeswalker hits the ground, you either have to take care of it in 2 or 3 turns, or it becomes a very, very, very big problem. The only times you really want to ignore that rule is if you're just like on a super aggro deck and you just have to get a life total number.
If you can kill them before the Planeswalker becomes too big an issue,
Yep.
then you go for the kill. But more times than not, I try to get the Planeswalkers off the board.
Yeah, it's almost always the best decision to take the Planeswalker out. And yeah, he does decide to block with the wall just to get another thing into the graveyard.
Yeah.
The Omen Speaker will deal with the Artificer too going forward, as long as Erik doesn't play an artifact to make it a 4/4 flyer. And even then, Tezzeret gets the +1 right now to go to 7, make it 1/1 blocker. There's so many things that like are good about having a high loyalty Tezzeret and a not empty board.
Hilarious and awful at the same time.
Now looking at Erik's deck, it definitely seems like it would go well if he had the Tezzeret in play.
I smell
producing
Lathless.
Ornithopters. That's Lathless.
That's Lathless the Dragon Queen.
Which, if he's able to get more cards in the graveyard, he's gonna put out some dragon tokens.
Yep.
But on Erik's side, if he is able to get Tezzeret down with the cards he has, he's very in on the white-blue.
Yeah.
And pumping out that 1 Thopter a turn. For Lance, it represents a blocker.
Mm-hmm.
For Erik, it enables a lot of cards in his deck to get much better.
Yes. Having an artifact here would actually make Erik like live, basically, because playing an artifact would make him have a 4/4 flyer, and if he decides to attack into Tezzeret, like it makes sense for Lance to block with Lathless the Dragon Queen. If he blocks with Lathless the Dragon Queen, Erik can pump Lathless the Dragon Queen with Mighty Leap, making it a 6/6 trade Lathless. Unfortunately, you can't get Tezzeret, but it takes care of one of the big things on the floor.
Erik does not have Mighty Leap, does he?
No Mighty Leap? No,
he used it earlier.
Oh, he did. Yeah, you're right. Take
But Trusty Pack Beast.
Trusty Pack Beast. Okay.
But I still agree. If Erik were to attack Tezzeret, he's representing a combat turn.
Yes.
So even if Lance lets the damage through, he probably swings back with Lathless.
Yep.
Which sets up for the takedown. Or Take Vengeance.
I mean, even at this point, Lance might want to attack with Lathless, and Take Vengeance will take care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
Throwing a bunch of Thopters out.
Interestingly enough, if Lance decides not to go aggro here and just sit and wait until Tezzeret hits his ultimate, he wins. But I would also attack with Lathless because it feels good to alpha with a 6/6. I think Erik just has to take all that damage and feel good about taking Vengeance for it next turn.
Yeah. That's a lot of damage, though.
Yep. I believe that's an Aven Wind Mage. Aven Wind Mage presents another flying threat. Like, Erik really needs to pick something up in the air here, or else he's just going to get run over in the air. This turn, he has to use the white mana to take Vengeance.
Looks like you're correct. Aven Wind Mage.
Yeah.
So, this is game 2 of our last round.
Yep.
If Lance takes it, this will be our last round
Yep.
or last game for the night. We do have Matt back in the booth with us.
Hey,
Welcome back,
Welcome back.
thank you much.
Matt. So I don't know if you were out there watching all the different games going on or what, but we've seen some interesting things on camera tonight. Few questionable calls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We saw a few good bears.
Good bears, yeah.
We saw a bad bear planeswalker.
Right.
And
It didn't get played though, so I'm happy about that.
oh, but it's been a fun night for
It
us.
has.
So the questionable ones, is that because of unfamiliarity with all the cards and interactions for this set, or is it just
It was some of
learn and
that.
play?
There was also interactions with timing.
Oh, okay.
Earlier in this match, we saw Mighty Leap played after blocks.
Okay.
Mighty Leap gives a creature flying, which is evasion, which usually gets around a block.
Okay.
But once the creature's been blocked, it's too late. It's blocked. Even if it gains a ability that would make it not blockable later.
Understood. Okay.
If I'm attacking you on the ground and I hit you and I grab you and then I become flying, I've already grabbed you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that came up in this one, and then
Earnest, I think.
yeah, there were
of
some
the
plays
turn
earlier.
one, yeah. But that's okay. This is all stuff you learn
Yeah.
when you as you play Magic. Timing is a huge factor in
Okay.
Magic.
Yeah.
Nobody plays every game perfectly. If
No.
I were on camera, I guarantee
Yep.
you'd be able to call some of my games. In fact, 93,
Same thing.
94, I was playing against Alex.
I
on
made
camera.
mistakes in our 93-94 game as well.
But going back and watching, I'm able to see those.
Right.
And
It's
and
about learning
pick up
how to
from
get better
Yeah.
by doing that as well.
There's always a certain advantage from being able to step back and look at it.
Yeah, and for us being able to see both sides of the board,
Yep.
we can see both players' hands.
And there
It
are
helps us a
times
lot.
where the unfamiliarity of the new set does come into play.
Gotcha.
That did come
Yeah.
into play at some point tonight, but that's totally normal. I have the benefit of I play this a lot online, so I see the cards all the time. But
Right.
if I did not do that, there's no way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This
So,
is the second week.
this is the second week the set's come out. Yeah.
So. All right, so right now we're watching Eric. He's really trying to get Tezzeret off the board. Tezzeret,
He's about to
Planeswalker,
ultimate.
who's about to ultimate. The ultimate lets him get any permanent from his library and put it onto play every turn.
Wow. Okay.
Basically, a Planeswalker comes into play, has a certain amount of loyalty. Each of their abilities does a certain thing, but once they get to a certain loyalty number, they can take off all the counters,
Or a large amount.
amount of counters,
Mm-hmm.
and they get something a lot of times that just cannot be interacted with. It just is now a change to the game state.
Okay.
You were here earlier when we saw Palladium Moors on the board,
Mm-hmm.
and we told you this card warps the game.
Yeah.
It
This
is no
card
longer
warp-
a game between you and me. It's
Yeah.
a game between you and
And
this card.
That
Right.
card, which he just ultimate, warps it even more.
Wow. Okay.
So what happens is he gets that emblem, which cannot be taken away. Nothing. You can't do anything to it. That
There's
emblem
no
It's
way
just
in
now
Magic.
it's a thing.
it's a thing, and that thing says he can look through his deck every turn, take something, put it into the battlefield, no matter
Wow.
what. Which is
okay.
just that's nutso, right?
that feels like a death knell.
Now,
yeah,
the kicker is Eric has the same Planeswalker in his deck,
yeah.
except
Lance
Lance
just got
has
it
found
out
it
twice.
Oh, I
Lance
get
has
ya.
been the one finding him first.
Yeah.
So
The thing is, so Planeswalkers, we talked about this a second earlier, but you're new to this.
Yep.
Planeswalkers are so powerful, and they represent the actual characters in the Magic
lore
universe, in
of
the
Magic,
lore.
right.
They're a lot of them are the main characters in the lore.
Gotcha.
That if you don't take care of them within 2 turns of them coming into play, they
just have their way with the
they,
board.
They
yeah,
take
they
over
just
the game.
yeah. They've come
Okay.
out from another plane with their spark, and they're like, "Ha, we're here to just blow crap up," you know.
So here we see Lance going through his deck. He chose a Plague Mare, which gives all of Eric's creatures -1/-1.
Yeah.
Which killed his largest creature.
And the big thing is all of Eric's creatures are asleep right now because he put them to sleep last turn, so they don't untap, and very likely the next turn Lance will just come in and do the thing.
Oh,
Just
okay.
crush it. And Lance went and just got the creature out with the emblem at that point. So you can choose the best creature or thing for that moment.
Gotcha.
A very good way to put Planeswalkers, if you have never played Magic but you're into comic books and you like comic books, which
Yeah.
I think you are,
Yeah.
is if you're a Planeswalker, every counter you get is like a new Infinity Stone.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You
Yeah.
get you get slightly more powerful,
Yep.
and then right at the end,
Oh,
you're
there's
like,
your handshake.
yeah, you just, you know, you just do that, and all of a sudden, your opponent's not necessarily dead, but he's mostly dead, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Axe in chest, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff where you're like, you emblem, and it's like, huh, that seems really, really powerful.